What's going on, guys? Ness here. What I have in front of me today is another awesome console modification by ExtremeRate. This one is actually for the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's a replacement front and back plate. They come in a variety of different styles, but the one I have in front of me today is the brushed silver. What I'm going to be doing is taking apart my Nintendo Switch Pro controller and installing this modification. Opening up the box, what we have is the replacement front and back plates, a set of tools, as well as some extra screws. The first thing I'm going to do is take my Nintendo Switch Pro controller and remove the two screws on the bottom of each foot of the Nintendo Pro controller. You take these two screws out and the feet slide right off. Up next, there'll be 4 screws holding the back plate in place. Remove those 4 screws and the back plate should pop right off. Once the plate is removed, go ahead and pop out the battery and put it over to the side. Up next, there are 5 screws holding the rear housing in place. 3 that are easily visible, and 2 that you gotta look a little bit closer to see. Remove these 5 screws, and the rear housing should pop right off. While removing the rear housing, be extra careful because there is a ribbon cable connecting the rear housing to the rest of the board. So go slow and you should see it over on the bottom. You can either use a tool or just undo the hinge by hand. Once the ribbon cable is detached, you can go ahead and remove the back housing. Once that's done, now you have access to the main board. There's going to be 4 screws holding the main board in place. Go ahead and remove those, and the main board is going to come right out. Now that the controller is completely disassembled, go ahead and remove the silicone inserts, as well as the buttons and the directional pad. Now we're going to grab our replacement front housing and start inserting the buttons into their corresponding areas. Go ahead and put the silicone inserts back where the directional pad and the buttons are, and put the main board back in its place. Now we're pretty much going to do exactly the opposite of what we did before, and just put everything back together. Once the main board's back in place, just go ahead and give it a quick feel out and make sure the buttons feel right. Now we're going to go ahead and reattach the rear housing. When it comes to that ribbon cable, just be really patient with it. Make sure it slides right in. and you should have it in place in no time. Once the ribbon cable is in place, close the rear housing and reattach the screws. Now go ahead and put the battery back in its place and give the controller one more feeling out. Once we spot checked everything, we're going to go ahead and attach the rear plate and put the 4 screws back in place. Lastly, we're going to attach the 2 feet at the bottom of the controller and put the 2 screws back in, holding them in place. And that's it, we're pretty much done. Now you have a sleek and badass Nintendo Switch Pro controller that stands out from everyone else's. I've used plenty of ExtremeRate's modification in the past, and they've never disappointed. I really dig this brushed silver style, but they have a variety of different styles to choose from. I'll put links to everything in the description below in case you guys are looking to do the same thing to your Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this is Ness, signing out.